Hi guys, Blake here with Lilley's Landing Resort and Marina. It is November 2nd, Saturday, and I'm going to do the one cast for you today. Alright, so today I boated up here just below Outlet 2. I'm going to be using a Bomber fat-free fingerling. Shad Truce is the flavor. I'm on 6-pound test with a medium heavy action rod, which you can get away with a medium action rod. So I know we've been talking about the Floodgates running and the shad that are coming over. So what we're going to do with this today, it's a deep diving crankbait. I'm going to cast it out behind the boat, and I'm going to reel it down to the bottom, and I'm going to let it just drag the bottom as we go along. Whenever the water's running this heavy, the fish are hunkered down low on the bottom, and they are looking for these shad right now. So we're going to cast this baby out. I always try to cast it as far as I can, give myself some room to get it down to the bottom, and then you just kind of give it a reel and a jerk, and eventually you'll feel that thing start to tick the bottom. And there it is. I can feel it ticking the bottom now. This is a nice easy method you can do whenever they're running heavy water. And just wait for a bite now. Sometimes it's hard to tell when you have a bite when you're doing this method, because whenever it's pulling across the bottom in that heavy current, it almost feels like you're getting a bite all the time. But when you're using a bait this big in a method like this, generally the fish that are going after it are a little bit bigger, so you can usually tell whenever they hit it. It may not be the method to produce the most fish, but the fish that you will catch will generally be quality 16 to 20 inches or even bigger. The 9-pounder that I caught a couple weeks ago was on a shad flavored crankbait, dragging the bottom like this whenever they had the Floodgates running last time. I haven't heard too many reports for dock fishing. I talked to Bill earlier. Bill Babbler said that they were drifting night crawlers in a boat out in front of the dock, and they were catching a bunch right there in the area in front of our dock. So potentially fishing from the dock with a night crawler, if you had enough weight, would get the same effect. He said there was a lot of fish there. I talked to Dwayne this morning, and he said his trip went really well. They caught a lot of fish. He said early morning, first hour of light, they were using the shad fly, and they were catching them pretty good. And he said once that bite died off, they switched over to these bomber baits, these bomber crankbaits. He said they were using 3 flavors: Shad Truce, the white shad, and the Tennessee shad. He said all 3 were working equally as good. Doing exactly what I'm doing right now, just coming up here to the dam and casting it out and dragging it across the bottom. And then he said they went down back to where Andy's was and dragged scuds from Andy's down to the Narrows, and said they were catching a lot of fish doing that too. So the scud bite is still really good as well. Direct my boat a little bit here. I read a report online that said something about the pools on Beaver Lake are still filling, so they predict that we will see the floodgates for the next few weeks. I don't know how accurate that statement is, but there's a chance that we could be looking at these conditions for a while. So white jigs, white shad flies, scuds, and shad flavored crankbaits might be the way to go for the next few weeks. Right now I just entered the big hole. It's where it comes off of that flat and drops down quite a bit deeper. Sometimes if you're dragging these crankbaits, especially, you go from a shallow spot to a deep spot, you might have to give it a couple extra tugs to get it back down to the bottom. One thing about these crankbaits is when you're dragging them, occasionally you will get them hung up. Generally though, it's just the bill of the bait that is stuck. So you can save them a lot of the time if you turn your boat on and drive straight past where your line is hooked up, and you can get them back a lot of the time. Just had a bite there. You can feel whenever those bigger fish really stop that thing in its tracks. Just like whenever you're dragging anything else out here, occasionally you're going to pick up some moss. If you start to feel that crankbait not wobbling or hitting the bottom like it has been, maybe pull it in and find out if you maybe got mossed up a little bit. Mine's still ticking along just like it has been, so I'm not gonna pull it back in quite yet. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but this big tree that's down over here on the left hand side is I don't know, I always catch a couple fish in front of it usually, so hopefully my luck will stay the same and I'll catch one right now. Another thing you'll hook into a lot out here right now with the leaves changing and falling off is you'll pick up a dead leaf with the bill of the jerk bait or crankbait, and you'll have to reel it back in and take it off. I know that can be annoying when you catch 10 or 12 leaves. I will say though, this is a nice relaxing method you can use while you're fishing these floodwaters. Come on, fish. I know one of you want this shad truce bait. Right now, with the sun directly over the top of me, this is probably one of the harder times to come out and catch fish. The bite will usually be better early in the morning or later in the evening. I'm going to reel this in and just check it, make sure there's no moss or leaves or gunk stuck to it, because I haven't had a bite in a while. Okay. And it is clean, so nothing officially on the one cast. We're going to sling it back out there and give it one more try. We just passed the boat ramp about 100 feet ago. We're getting ready to go through this flat right before Trophy Run. And there it is on the bottom. I can feel it ticking. Yesterday I came up here with a shad flavored crankbait, and I did pretty well. It was a little bit later in the evening though, kind of like what I was saying about the time that I'm out here right now earlier. Oh, I had a bite. This thing's moving at a constant speed, so sometimes they'll chase after it and bite it a couple times before they get a hold of it. And sometimes they'll just miss it altogether. Coming out of the flat here at Trophy Run, the water's about to drop off and get quite a bit deeper. I either have a fish or I have hooked into something like a log or a stick. I think it might be a fish. Oh yeah, that's a beautiful fish. And this, if I can get this one in the net, this is just an example of the quality of fish that you can catch whenever you're running these crankbaits. He pulled on it so deep I thought he was just a big log I was stuck on. Oh, don't throw it, don't throw it. Get in the net. Oh, there we go. All right. Beautiful, beautiful rainbow here. There, little guy. He was running away from me. Oh my gosh, I'm struggling today. There we go. Nice, beautiful 16 or 17 inch rainbow there. Very nice colors. And you know, whenever I'm running these crankbaits, that's about the average size. And sometimes they're a little bit bigger than that. So you won't always catch a lot of fish, but the ones you do are really, really beautiful. Good fighters. Well, I think I'm going to end it on that note today, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again tomorrow.